Hello and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf. Well, this week we move from the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial to another extremely iconic, prestigious golf course on the PGA Tour. It's the Memorial Tournament at Jack's Place, Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. Elk, this is obviously another one of the designated events, but Memorial is one of those tournaments that really sits up there, just below the majors.
20 million bucks or not, Diane, everybody's going to Muirfield. It's most pristine course. This is sort of a little experimental plot for Jack Nicklaus. He's always changing the course. He's always got little surprises for the players when they come up to it. You've got the four major championships, Diane. Then you've got the Players' Championship. Right under the Players is Jack Nicklaus's tournament, the Memorial. He's got the driving range. It's perfect, the food, everything. He knows how to run an event. And he knows how to set up a course. The course is never easy, although there's some guys that have had some super scores. He also honors an honoree each year of someone that's, contributed to the game. This year, I think it's Larry Nelson. Fantastic event.
Yeah. You talking about the honorees, obviously Mr. Burke, an icon, a legend in the game. He was honored in 2009. Do you have any special memories of that?
Well, I went up to the event in 2009 with Jackie Burke, and, he knows Jack Nicklaus really well. And one of the stories that I like so much was when Mr. Burke was working for McGregor, they hired on Jack Nicklaus, and they put Jack Nicklaus with Jackie Burke to go out and see what Mr. Burke thought of this young upstart player. Well, they played Cypress Point out in California, and after the round, Jack Nicklaus asked Jackie Burke what he thought about his putting. And back then, Jack Nicklaus used to putt like this with his hand right up high like this when he putted. And Jackie Burke said, well, I've never seen anyone that's won any tournaments with their hand way up here like this. He said, you need to have your hand underneath. And that was the start where Jack Nicklaus had his hand way under, and he putted like that his whole career. Well, at the presentation that day at the Memorial Tournament, Jackie Burke was telling this story where he met Jack Nicklaus. And then years later, there was a drought in Jack Nicklaus' career before he won his 18 majors, when he won about 10. He came back to Jackie Burke to get a lesson again because he was putting terrible. And Jackie Burke told all the people there on the hill at Memorial, he said, Jack, I told you this 8 years ago or 10 years ago. You had your hand up too high. Now get it back down underneath where it's supposed to. Well, he changed it right then and went on to win another 7 majors, and he became the 18 majors, the most winning of all time.
That's amazing. That's a great story. And that's the thing, like, Jack Nicklaus just gets it like no one else. And that's why he's always standing on the 18th green on Sunday, waiting, to congratulate the winner. He's the first person that they see. And him and Barbara put so much passion into all the initiatives and making this tournament, really stand out on the tour. But you're right, he doesn't want to make the course easy for the guys. And they've been renovating the course. It went through that huge renovation a couple of years ago, added length. The greens have always been super tricky here. But yeah, he doesn't want to make it, he wants to make it fair, but definitely it's a tough challenge.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the players already. The course is very dry. We've always had that rain there where Jack Nicklaus got in trouble with the chief of the Indian tribe, Chief Leatherlips.
Hard to say.
The story of nobody knows the story of Chief Leatherlips was there was a gravesite at the Memorial Tournament right on the driving range, and the tribe told Jack Nicklaus, whatever you do, don't dig up the cemetery to put the driving range there. Move it somewhere else. Well, of course, Jack moved the cemetery, and the tribe cursed the tournament for 50 years of rain. And now Barbara Nicklaus, we've done cartoons on it. We'll post them again this week. Barbara Nicklaus has gone back to Chief Leatherlips' new grave and done offerings of fruit and hogs and meat and all sorts of things as an offering. Maybe we're at the 50th year of the curse being over, but right now, Diane, it's a very dry tournament, looking good. 4 inches of dry rough. They've lengthened holes 16 to par 3 and 17. 16 will play a little bit longer, 10 yards, with a little bit friendlier angle to come across that water. Remember when Tiger Woods iconically pitched that ball from over the back of the green and dribbled down and went in. So much drama. I don't know how many times Tiger won that tournament. And then 17 is back a little bit further to bring those fairway bunkers in. So a little bit tighter finish. I can imagine Nicklaus thinking, well, I want to see these guys, hit some more shots coming in this week.
Somebody who will be looking to potentially overcome their own curse at Muirfield Village is Jon Rahm, who won the tournament in 2020, finished tied for 10th last year. But in 2021, remember, he had that 6-shot lead as he walked off the 18th green on Saturday, only to be told that he tested positive for COVID and had to withdraw from the tournament. And Patrick Cantlay went on to win that year. Jon Rahm and Patrick Cantlay are obviously, two of the superstars on the PGA Tour right now, and they're always up at the top. This is a course for the two of them that just seems to suit their games to a T, and they both have fantastic history around here.
Yes, you're right. And I was talking to Jason Duffner over the weekend, and he won this tournament, and we sort of, everyone knows that if you are going to win or play well at the Memorial, you've got to drive the ball really well. You don't actually have to hit it miles like some of these guys, but you got to hit it straight. Jack Nicklaus has got 4 inches of rough. There's some dog legs. Now the course is firm. That's going to make these fairways tighter. You've got to get proximity to the hole. You've got to get on the green. And when you miss the green, you've got to know where to miss. Jason Duffner only finished in the top 40 when he putted, but he hit the ball exceptional. Now, we took a look, Diane, at the champions who just spoke of, Cantlay, Rahm, Billy Horschel last year had a tremendous week of ball striking, drove it great in the top 2, only 45th in distance, so that proves that you don't have to be miles down there. Billy Horschel was top 3 in proximity to the hole from 175 to 200, which is very prevalent on this golf course. Just to give you a snapshot, because Billy Horschel's been in a bit of a down period in his golf. I'm looking at the exact stat right here, Diane. He's 176th in the same proximity category that he was number 1 or 2 last year when he won the tournament. So it goes to show you, when you start to handicap in golf, where are these guys right now is the most important thing.
Yeah, I looked at Billy Horschel this week, and we'll get into talking about some of the individuals in a little while. But as you say, he's defending champion, and his odds this week are all over 100 to 1 everywhere I found him, even though he won last year, and outside that win has 4 top 15 finishes, even when he hasn't been playing that great around this tournament. It's one of those places that he comes to and his game just kind of thrives at. So Billy's going to be an interesting watch this week. There's a few of them. We talk about the designated events. There's only 2 big names that are really missing out this week. Tony Finau and Max Homa, whose sister's getting married. So he's got the perfect excuse to be skipping. Although I'm sure as happy as he is for his sister to be getting married this week, he has a fantastic record around here. So I'm sure this is one that he's a little bit sad to miss, and with it being Jack's tournament as well. But let's talk about the course, because I know you have been looking at Muirfield Village, at the changes that they've made, and talking to people that have been out there.
Yeah, it's a wonderful course. It winds through the beautiful oaks and maples they have up there. It's hilly. I mean, Jason Day, who lives in this area, he's going to have to be one to watch this week. But basically, it's picturesque every hole. I mean, think of Augusta up in Ohio. It's the most beautiful course. It's got some undulations, a lot of risk and reward. There's holes like number 5, so par 5, and so is number 7. Number 11, you've seen guys reach, and then, of course, coming in, they've redone completely number 15. So Jack likes a lot of drama, a lot of catch-up. There's also these very narrow holes like 14 where you've got to lay up. Some guys have been going for the green. I mean, it's always drama at Muirfield, and I'm really excited to hear that it's going to be dry, because that's really what's going to make this thing go. I mean, we saw a very dry golf course at Colonial, 8 under par, Diane, one on like a course that's 7,000 yards long. I mean, Muirfield's much harder than that. So I got to say, we haven't mentioned Scheffler yet, but Scheffler is one of the most amazing golfers. I mean, seems like he right now has maybe the superior attitude. He maybe has the superior training. He doesn't seem to get tired like some of the other guys. He keeps going, and he keeps finishing second, keeps finishing third. I mean, what is this? 3 weeks in a row. Dallas third, PGA second, Colonial third. It seems like his endurance, Diane, is not slowing down for Scheffler.
And he's been playing a lot. The PGA Championship, I mean, look at Hovland last week. You know, obviously he was in contention as well at the PGA. And fatigue, I think, played a role. When you look at some of the names from the PGA who were playing last week, some of them just weren't performing the way we maybe had hoped or expected, Hovland being one of them. But Scheffler just keeps on rolling. And he just has this very relaxed demeanor about him. It never looks like he gets too high or too low.
Yeah, it's easy not to get low when you finish in third every week, but, you know, he has that crazy footwork action which throws you off a little bit. But I've actually put a piece of paper over his feet and just watched the upper part of his swing, and that's pretty much flawless, and that's proven the point, and that's why he's right there every week. Yeah. No way he plays next week before he goes to the US Open, but is there any more gas left in the tank for Scheffler on your board?
Well, we will get into talk about our picks and our favourites. Going back quickly to the course, I was looking at the scoring average for the holes, and the only holes that have a scoring average below par are the 4 par 5s, which just shows how difficult. You know, you've got long par 4s out here. But let's talk about the greens, because the greens here are notorious for being small and fast, and some of the most difficult that the guys are faced with on the tour schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick with my thinking at the top of the show. When I played this tournament, I think I finished second one year, and that was the year that I decided that I was going to play a high fade shot into every green the way Jack Nicklaus designed it.
There you go. What would Jack do? We've said this.
Yeah, exactly. What would Jack do? Remember, they used to have those bands at WWJ. What would Jesus do? It was the same thing here. What would Jack do? A lot of holes on this course, Diane. If you don't hit a good drive, you can't really get on the green. Mm-hmm. That happens at 2. It happens at 3. It happens at 6. It happens on the back 9 a couple other times. It's just, if you get out of position, you can't do anything. So it requires almost a sort of one of your best weeks of driving the ball, one of your best weeks of hitting the irons, keeping out of trouble. Putting, we talked about, don't have to run the tables. If you're not just going to be able to hit it anywhere and then putt your way into the lead of this tournament. You're going to have to hit it straight. Okay. I didn't ask you. Rory McIlroy is back in action this week. Where are we putting? What's going on with Rory McIlroy?
Well, Rory's 12-1 this week. Scheffler leads on the odds board at 6-1. John Rahm's 7.5-1. Cantlay's 10-1, and then Rory at 12-1. When we did our re-ranking this week, Rory actually dropped down to 19th in our field ranking, which definitely shows kind of where he's at. Looking at his stats, I mean, you talked about the fact we have long holes here, and approach from 175 to 200 with that proximity is going to be key. That is definitely Rory's best stat, and he's 5th on the whole tour in that category right now. But putting average for McIlroy, he's 139th. And I know you said you don't have to putt lights out, but he's 139th on the tour. Scrambling, he's 112th. And in total driving right now, very uncharacteristically, Rory is sitting at 83rd. So yes, when you look at the numbers, I mean, I'm not picking him this week. When you look at the numbers, you can kind of see why.
Well, I was interested last week, Diane, when talking about Michael Block, where he was the heartthrob of everyone when he left the PGA, and then he went to the Colonial, and rightly so, had a complete, just lost all the momentum there. But he talked about where he got a bunch of criticism on internet about where he said, if I just could drive it as far as Rory McIlroy with the rest of my game, I'd be world class. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people jumped on Michael Block for saying that. But I was surprised that Michael Block said that about Rory, because I took it as a huge slight to Rory. I mean, you play with Rory McIlroy, that's the only thing you want to take, just some distance. You don't want to take his iron game. You don't want to take his swing. You don't want to take his wedges. You don't want to take any of this stuff. And the question has to be asked, Diane, was that really him saying that? And like, he's not impressed with the rest of Rory's game? Because we have seen the 140th. We have seen the missed greens. We have seen the sloppy play around the greens. Was that a slight to Rory McIlroy last week?
Mm-hmm. And as you say, they had played together on Sunday at the PGA. So Michael Block was seeing firsthand every single shot that Rory hit. I don't think he meant it as a dig towards Rory at all. And I didn't think that it was like a conceited thing for Michael Block to say. At the end of the day, you know, if you're teeing it up with the world's best, you have to be in the mindset that you can compete and that you're out there and you deserve to have your place in the field. So you have to have confidence. And Rory's got insane length. I mean, it's length that guys will only dream of, because how on earth do you ever emulate that?
Well, you know, Rory 2 weeks ago at the PGA said he may on the weekend just go for it, hit it as far down there as possible. I think Jack will have that covered this week with the 4-inch rough. He won't be able to do that, so he's going to have to hit the fairways like everybody else. Yeah. Rory's not on my board yet, Diane. I'm waiting for him to do something for me to pull him back into the equation here. Yeah. Maybe the US Open, who knows?
And we obviously talked about Scheffler. We've talked about Rahm and his amazing record around here. Scheffler back to world number one. It's like a ping pong contest between the two of them right now for that world number one spot. Viktor Hovland as well, after that great performance at the PGA Championship. Hovland, you'd said it, and I loved it. He's just figuring out how to play the majors, and eventually he's going to get a win. You know, Hovland is just an exceptional player. He's playing great right now. He's got a fantastic set of stats across the board. So, you know, Hovland at 18-1 could be a great prospect this week.
Yes, and I want to recall back to a funny story about the world number one between Scheffler and Rahm. And when I was on tour, Tom Lehman was at number one, and I think Nick Price was right there, and they were flip-flopping back each week. And I remember a cute story that Tom Lehman's daughter said to him at a tournament was like, she's like, "Oh, cool, Dad. Like, y'all are just sharing it back and forth every week. Y'all are so nice to one another." They thought, I thought it was a cute story, but it's almost the same thing. And you know, again, I'm going to talk about, it seems to mean a bit more to Rahm. Rahm is a fiery guy. Scheffler, I don't think it matters to him. He said, "Oh, it's an algorithm. I don't care, whatever. I'm going to keep playing." I do think it means more to Rahm.
Yeah.
To be on top.
Yeah. Scheffler, every time I see a Scheffler interview, I'm like, he hasn't changed. You know, I think he's still driving his old beat up truck that he's had for years. And, you know, obviously he's just at the top of his game right now, but he hasn't changed. And the success is just going to continue to come for him without a doubt.
Yes. And I think I got him beat for older trucks. Mine's a 48. I don't know what he's driving, but it's got to be younger than that.
Well, Emiliano Grillo last week won the 1973 Ford Bronco that had been restored at the Charles Schwab. I want to very quickly just talk about Grillo, because I thought this was genius, and I thought it was genius when it happened, and then he talked about it afterwards. But after he doubled 18, he was hanging around to see if he was going to be in a playoff with Adam Schenk. And he got some little kids who were spectating onto the first tee box and let them hit shots. Now, Grillo's a relatively new father as well. And when I was watching it, I thought, he is just getting out of his head right now. He is forgetting about what just happened on the 72nd green. And he's just enjoying this moment. He's going to loosen up. He's going to smile. He's going to laugh with these kids. And then if he does get to the playoff, he's going to be so fresh and in such a great mindset. And that's exactly what happened. And he got those little boys in the locker room afterwards and gave them hats. And that one, to me, was just such a brilliant moment from last week.
Anything to get out of that. The brilliant part was to get anything out of you looking at hitting another shot and judging yourself of why the heck you just made a double bogey on 18 and why you didn't hit a 3-wood. Just get a couple of kids in there, watch them hit a few swings. He knew that you know, his fate might have been wrapped in you know, in a bad way to lose that tournament. As it turned out to be lucky. He got a nice bounce in the playoff off the side of the hill at 16. No, it was a great win for him. And, you know, when you look back, I always like to look back, Diane, and see what we missed, you know, with Grillo last week, but I look back and, he's right there. He's top 50 in approach. He's 50th in putting. He's 60th in proximity, 30th in driving. We always look as handicappers of what is that amount of pop-out value. Pop-out meaning how can he jump out of his set of stats good enough to do what you need to do this week? Can you drive the ball into the top 10 players this week? Can you hit the greens into the top 15? Can you putt into the top 30? And can you scramble into the top 5? That's the name of the game this week. It's going to be very difficult for some of these guys to pop up into that. And that's why we look so hard at guys like Rory. Can he come up? Can Horschel come from 176 into the top 2 like he did last year? I don't think so. So there's odds to all of that, of course.
And Emiliano Grillo is 90-1 this week, in case you fancy a flutter at last.
I don't think he's going to win this week, but he'll be enjoying. He said he had a huge headache going on the plane home the next day, and he didn't care at all.
Yeah. Well, I just had a look. If you fancy him for a top 10, he's 7-1, and he's just under 3-1 for a top 20 finish. So keep the momentum going. Right, let's move on to our picks for the Memorial Tournament. We each have an outright favourite, a one to watch, and then a dark horse at over 100-1. Who's going to kick it off this week? If you're picking Jon Rahm, get it out of the way.
No, I'm not going to pick Rahm this week, although I think I'm happy that he's rested. Yeah. But I am going to pick his, stablemate that plays this course better than anyone, which is Cantlay. He's last, oh my gosh, Diane, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 6 tournaments at this tournament is 3rd, 1st, 32nd, 1st, 4th, 35th. And I look over here at the stats, Diane, that I'm really concerned with. Total driving, 1st. Putting average, 6th. Scrambling, 50th. I mean, hello?
Yes.
What can you do? You've got to take the guy.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to overlook him for sure. So, yeah, Patrick Cantlay, as we said, definitely one of the favourites this week, and he is 10-1. So, yeah. Not bad. I actually thought he was going to be less than that. I thought that he might.
I did too. I like 10-1 on that.
I actually thought that he might have been shorter odds than Scheffler, just because of the way that Cantlay has played here over the years. So 10-1, take it. I am taking his best mate. I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele this week at 16-1. He's had 4 top 5 finishes in his last 6 starts. So he's playing really well. He likes it here. This is the 5th time that he's played the tournament. Missed a cut in his first year, but in the other 4 times, the worst he's finished is in a tie for 18th. Xander's approach game is always fantastic. And looking at his stats right now, scrambling, he's just 25th, putting average in the top 20, the approach stat from that 175 to 200 that we looked at this week, he's 25th. But when you look at his approach for the whole season in general on the PGA Tour, he's sitting at 6th and 11th in putting. So I love Xander for this week. As I said, he's been a name that's been there or thereabouts. He's talked about a lot right now. And just in these designated events, because all eyes this week are going to be on Scheffler, on Rahm, on Rory, on Cantlay, Xander's a little bit below them at 16-1. So I'm going to take him as my outright favourite.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing between picking a player that's on the rise and then another player like the Rahm, the Xanders. They're always right there. They don't have to do anything more stat-wise to perform on this course. Now, I'd like to pull some guys up that I think are playing some decent golf, Diane, but I don't know how they get past that group up top that they're playing so well.
That's the thing about the designated events. I struggle with the guys that are around about like 60, 70, 80-1. Like I find it hard to kind of pick from that category because we know with a dark horse we have to go over 100-1. So my one to watch this week is about 30-1. I find him at 33-1. Do you want me to dive in?
Yeah, well, we know that Vegas knows what they're doing, Diane. When they take all the good players, they got low odds, and then as soon as you get down to someone else, they go to 200, 300-1 because they know they got no chance of winning it, and they want that sucker bet on them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take Tyrrell Hatton this week as my one to watch. Again, a guy that's been playing really well lately. He's had a third place finish, a fifth place finish, finished in a tie for 15th at the PGA Championship. I looked at, these difficult comparable golf courses, and I know everyone mentions Augusta National, but Bay Hill, there's a lot of similarities, and that's where Tyrrell Hatton got his win in the Arnold Palmer Invitational a couple of years ago. But again, he's playing really good. That his iron play is fantastic. He's 10th in approach for the season on the PGA Tour. And when we did our re-ranking, he came out at number 5, which is fantastic. 12th in total driving. He's 17th in scrambling, 17th in putting average. Great numbers and great odds for Tyrrell Hatton this week.
Yeah. You have to take someone that can strike it. I mean, when you look at Adam Scott's playing well, Jason Day is a member of this course. There's a bunch of guys that do well here. I'm picking a guy that plays well on this course and has statistics to back it up. I'm talking about COLLIN MORIKAWA. He won Workday. You remember they played back-to-back tournaments here at this course. The second one was sponsored by Workday. Finished second here 2 years ago. He does over here, Diane, things that I like. 13th in approach, 11th in proximity and top 30 driving. You don't have to hit it miles on this course, but you got to hit it straight. That's kind of MORIKAWA. Don't have to putt crazy. He's 88th in putting. That's the weak part of his game, but he's like top 10 in the world player. There's a bunch of guys that are sitting right around him, Diane, that you could make an argument for, but MORIKAWA, I like people that have played this course and won on this course. I like, because I played this tournament for years and I knew that there was guys that just could not play this golf course and there was guys that could. Yeah. And my next pick at 250 to 1 is a guy that can play this course.
That was the only thing about Tyrrell Hatton. He's only played this tournament once before. Doesn't have the course knowledge. However, he's obviously a well-traveled, fantastic golfer and will be able to figure it out. And I just love the fact that he's playing so well right now. He's fun to watch too. He's a good one to root for.
Yes.
I'm taking Tyrrell Hatton at around about 30 to 1. And you have Collin MORIKAWA. What odds do we have for MORIKAWA? Let me check.
You got it in front of you?
Yeah, 22 to 1.
Yeah, so, I like 22 to 1 on MORIKAWA.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw that he is very close to Hideki Matsuyama, past champion here, 35 to 1. Those are nice odds for Hideki.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I like guys that play well here. I'm going to dive right into, Diane, my dark horse, because I've got a 250 to 1 shotter this week. This guy plays this tournament over the last 10 years, 70% of making the cuts over the last 10 years. 50% of those, Diane, are in the top 15. Kevin Streelman is starting to do some things, 46 in proximity to the hole. All of his numbers are not great, Diane. They're getting a little bit better, but he finished top 10 at Colonial last week. And what I'm interested with him is he's 109th on the FedEx, just made a substantial jump at the Colonial, 250 to 1. Okay, that's fine. I'm looking at using him. He's got to be thinking, I'm going to Memorial, a place that I love, and I'm playing well, and he's going to be ready. And that's what I'm riding this little wave here.
That's a great pick. Great odds as well. Nice find for your dark horse. My guy was in the mix last week until he had a 76 on Sunday around Colonial and he knocked himself right out of the top 10. So I'm sure Harris English is going to be very annoyed right now. But this week he is 110 to 1. So he's just over and I'm going to take him as my dark horse. We know that he was out injured for a while. It took him a little while to get a bit of rhythm going again. He finished third at the Wells Fargo, runner-up at Bay Hill back in March. So obviously, playing better. And as I said, he was really in contention until he had a pretty crappy Sunday last week. But really strong iron game always. And he's a straight hitter, Harris English. He's had a 13th place finish and an 18th place finish here before. 67% chance of making the cut. So I really like him this week, and I think that there's going to be a bit of the bounce back factor after what was a frustrating Sunday around Colonial. So I'm going to take Harris English at 110 to 1.
I like it. I like it. All eyes will be on Jack Nicklaus, of course, this week, Diane. This is his baby. He's going to get a dry weather week. We're going to have a great honoree in Larry Nelson. He doesn't get all the accolades he should. Should have been Ryder Cup captain, should have been a lot of things, but Larry Nelson was a great player. I played a lot of golf with Nelson. I played with him late in the PGA when he was about 60 at the Atlanta Athletic Club. I think it was the one at Keegan Bradley. And he was hitting woods into every woods into every par 4, made the cut at like 60 years old in the PGA. Just an incredible player, and good for him to be on it this week.
Yeah, that's going to be a special week. Also, keep an eye out for the curse of Chief Leatherlips. It's really difficult to say. I stumble over it every single time.
Really difficult for a Scottish person, yes.
Yeah, exactly, because we've got a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I just have to, I laugh because every time it happens over the weekend, 2 people asked if I was Australian, and I'm like, my boss would hate you for saying that. But yeah, hopefully, because the curse is always that we have horrendous weather and rain and delays. So nothing in the forecast right now, but you never know with that voodoo weirdness what could happen. And the milkshakes are always iconic at Memorial as well. So you'll see a lot of players. They're available in the locker room. They have this incredible ice cream. I don't know if Jack Nicklaus has something to do with the ice cream. Is it his company, or I don't know if there's yeah. But the milkshakes are super famous. I've had one before, and it was phenomenal. All right then, well, thank you very much for watching this week, and for listening to our tour report for the Memorial Tournament. We've got the US Open in a couple of weeks. Next week, it's the RBC Canadian Open, which is a fantastic tournament, and we know how much the fans up there just embrace the PGA Tour when they cross the border. So we'll be diving into that one. A lot of the bigger names are going to be taking the week off in preparation for the US Open, so it'll be an interesting field to go through and to handicap, and we will be back with you next week.
And the last footnote, Diane, Jason Duffner, Owen Secret Golf contributor, who skipped the PGA to have a baby. He's playing this week at Memorial. He's a past champion there. Young Franklin Duffner is with us now at about 9 pounds, Diane, healthy baby boy.
Well, whenever anyone sees my son, who's going to be 7 months this week, they're like, wow, that's a big baby. He wasn't big.
He is a big baby. He's a happy baby, your baby.
He's the best. I have another.
Every time I see your baby, it makes me feel better.
I know, I just love him so much. I have a second footnote. We've actually... we appear in the top 25 golf travel podcasts. So I got a notification of congratulations saying that it said, I want to give you a virtual high five for your contribution to this world. So yeah, we're up there in the top 25 golf travel podcasts worldwide.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Thank you. Thanks for supporting us. And we'll be talking about the RBC Canadian Open next week.
The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, the place for you to compete and win cash on PGA Tour events. The SG Tour is a golf experience like no other, with games designed by golf professionals. You can play single-day games and tournament-long contests each week. It's easy to get involved. Join or create a game for you and your buddies. Pick 4 players and follow along with the action. And if you need some help with your picks, we've got you covered with our weekly handicapping show, The Tour Report, and exclusive content with our PGA Tour players. Join the fun and win money on the SG Tour, available in the App Store.